All right. Stream has been initiated. Checking Twitch and it is. What's going on with Twitch? Not seeing it. Let's try it again. Let's refresh this. Maybe it'll show what's going on here. All right, and it is up. Checking Kick, and we are up on Kick. Checking YouTube, and everything is up and going on YouTube. Checking Facebook Live, and everything is. I've got to hit the go live button there. YouTube. Checking Facebook Live. Let's see what's happening here. And YouTube is now live. So we are live on all 4 platforms. Welcome to the Sam Crescent art stream featuring me, Sam Crescent, a totally irrelevant illustrator that is going live on the internet looking for the pen. All right, today we are working on my comic book Strength Monsters. It's an action-packed adventure book featuring going live on the internet. There's a volume on somewhere. Working on my comic book one of these streams. It's an action-packed adventure book featuring going live on the internet. There's a who's got the volume on? Somewhere. It was Facebook Live. All right, we got that fixed. Back to the intro. This is Sam Crescent, a full-time, completely irrelevant artist that you've probably never heard of. I've been going live every day for the last 20 plus days on all these various social media platforms in an attempt to further build out and cement my legacy and body of work. Specifically, right now I'm working on my comic book. Well, what happened to me? Strength Monsters. Now, I don't know why I'm disappearing in the pip stream. Maybe I need to turn the light up a little bit. It's kind of dark in here as it is still 5 o'clock in the morning, and I have to start the stream a bit earlier today as there's a lot of things going on throughout the day, and I have some a hard cut that I'm gonna have to make, but because I started this stream before 6 a.m. I will have no problem making my commitments. Now, as I was discussing, I am a fully irrelevant, unknown artist that you've never heard of. I'm warming up right now by doing some pretty unimpressive drawing drills, but I do this every single day before I get into my work so that I can get my brain up and going and into full drawing mode. And that's all I'm doing right now is I'm drawing these circles inside these lines, trying to just keep them the same size, symmetrical, and round. That's pretty much all there is to circles. Now, was this horizontal lines? Yes. Now let's do some vertical lines. I'm going to do the same drill. Now, mostly I work on my comic book called Strength Monsters. It is called Strength Monsters because it is about 2 pro wrestlers that are best buddies that have to go on adventures. It is an action adventure book. Now, the characters happen to be professional wrestlers. That happens to be their profession. Strength Monsters is the name of the wrestling league that they wrestle in. It is a league where all of the wrestlers are actual monsters. This is a different universe where there's lots of monsters walking around, living their everyday life, and many of them become professional wrestlers. But it's not a wrestling comic. It is an adventure comic. And this episode that I'm working on right now, they actually have to save a city from a horde of zombie monkeys. And it's a pretty long story arc. There's lots of nuances and complexities to it. There's lots of metaphors for our real life world, and I will show it to you as soon as I finish warming up. Now, I do these warm-ups every single day because drawing is actually pretty hard. And it is a perishable skill that if you don't work at it every day, you will lose your ability to draw, or it will at least kind of diminish. So I try to do specific training exercises and such every single day to just keep my drawing. I'm gonna make this bigger. Actually, it's easier to do these if I do them bigger. It's easier to see them as well. So let's make this bigger. So yeah, it takes a little bit longer. I usually spend 30 to 40 minutes doing drawing exercises, and while you might be like, oh, I might get more done if I don't do these drawing exercises, I do actually feel like on the back end they help speed things up. They help me make my decisions more quickly, and they help me struggle less throughout the day as I'm drawing many different various things all the time. Right now, this drill is drawing a box in 3-dimensional dimensions and rotating it around, and that's pretty much all there is to it. It's a little narrow there, so I'm gonna lengthen it maybe to here. And one of the things about this drill is you want to keep this box that you're rotating the same proportions as best as you possibly can. This is the angle that I usually struggle with, but not today. We're gonna nail it. Not today. Got to shorten that side just a tad because it's a little bit more of a rectangle. We want to keep this a square box and not a rectangular one. All right. Let's just move these here so they're closer together. And should I do one more set of these? Why not? I'll do this next set of boxes with a more extreme down looking angle. So this is still kind of looking down. Now we're going to go super extreme with the view. So we're almost completely above this box, far up in the air. Now I forgot what I was doing. We've got to do this way here. So just keeping these angles consistent helps. There we go. So we're looking down more on this box. Now I'm kind of thinking that I still don't think this angle is as extreme as that one. So let's redo it and let's push it so it's more consistent with this box. And we'll draw the top of the box first to do that. That's a little better, I think. Clean off those lines there. And that's what we want. We want this to look like this to look like this. Now this one. This one's the one that's kind of the harder one for me often. See, if I make this line the same angle, it's not going to work. It's got to be more there. There we go. Let's shorten that in. Clean these up here. Keep these boxes clean. That's coming out a little bit too far, so we'll fix it right here. And what we'll have here is 6 boxes in perspective, rotating around. Now, again, I'm looking at this box and I'm going, this is not the same angle. This is more rotated than that, but I still don't think it's enough. So we're going to do it one more time. Ew, excuse me. Sorry about that. All right. Never join me on a live stream. I do have brutal allergies. And so I will sneeze and blow my nose from time to time. Okay, that's the same box I just drew. Needs to be like this. Let's put this up this way more. This way more. There we go. Now we're talking. We're bringing these towards a vanishing point. Now we're talking. All right, I'll take that one. It's rotated slightly more than this guy, but we'll be here all day trying to dial this in. And the main idea is if you do the exercise every day, you will get better. You'll get more accurate. Yesterday, these boxes were pretty bad. Today, they're not so much. All right. Let's bifurcate up these boxes here. And so this next part of the drill, you're going to mark your boxes up into a grid system like this. And you're trying to go from center to center and keep your lines straight. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this drill here. And I'm going to switch things up. Then I'm going to do my Bridgman studies. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to draw a mannequin in perspective, using these boxes to guide my perspective, but try to implement the Bridgman anatomy that I learned on these boxes here. And then that will conclude today's drawing studies. And I'll start drawing my comic book now. I don't like that angle. I feel like it's more there. There. Whoops, that's a bad one. More like that. No. Something like that. All right, that works. How y'all doing today, guys? Let's see what's happening in the chat. Nothing. Okay. Glad I checked in with everyone. Keep it going here. Maybe I'll clip a video blowing my nose live on stream. All right, so we're going to switch things up and we're going to Bridgman now. George Bridgman's book, Constructive Anatomy. And, all right, we'll work this one. So, this page, there's a lot happening here. It's not all of it's going to apply to what we're doing. So I'll just pick one from here, and I'm going to do this simplified one that he did because this is actually really interesting. All right, so he did. It's a profile of a figure, and he's basically got. Let's just break it down into the primitive shapes first. He's basically got an egg shape here, like that. Oh, let me use a different color so that the underdrawing it doesn't interfere. So he's got an egg shape here. So let's break down this Bridgman pose. He's got an egg shape here. Kind of a ball, straight and turns. He's got a head indicated there. Abdomen and some hips coming down like that. Okay, so pretty much the really interesting part of this is he's got the shoulder, and it's a squared up angular shoulder, comes in down and hooks like that, and then he's got a little indication there. Now he's got the other side of the deltoid indicated, and then we're going to draw the tricep. The tricep comes out, wedges in, and then comes up here to the elbow. Okay, and then there's the other side of it. This is the bicep, and it's squared up. It plugs in and disappears behind the deltoid. And then this is bone right there. The chromium pros. No, it's called the olecranon of the elbow. Is the bone part of this elbow of the radius, I believe, is the olecranon. Comes here, and then he's got the forearm plug-in in there. That's not right. It comes out and in. Okay, and that's all he's got there for this one, because it's a small sketch. It's on page 163 of the text that I'm looking at. Now he's got the big muscles of the back coming around, and if we look at the angle from this here to here, it's about there. So I pretty much got that right. Pecs coming in and down, and then kind of a rib cage here. I got this wrong actually. Let me erase that. He connects up this rib cage actually here, comes up higher, and this is coming like that kind of. Let's fix that up completely, and I feel like it's easier for me to kind of do the pecs going that way, and then his rib cage there. Okay, and then he indicates kind of the muscle of the back here. He's got a little bit of rendering through here where the back is thicker. He's got some indication of something there. And then this curls down. He's got the obliques in here. And if you wanted to put more detail in here, like it looks like I've got mine off. This is off. So I'm going to redo it. Because I'm just looking at how big the shoulder is compared to everything else. And let's start with this part. So he starts it about halfway, slides it down, and then comes out and over. That's too long. So I'll just take an angle here, boom. So it's more right here is where it stops. And this one comes here and here. It's not bad actually. Just a circle like that. It's there. There we go. That's more, I think that's a little more closer to the proportions that he did. All right, then this is indicating the scapula right here. This is the thick muscle of the back that he's kind of turned under there. Let's see here. Now he brings it now then down. Erase this. Got this line there. Then he comes out and wedges in. Hips come through. He's got that there. That there. That's still obliques. Let me kind of fix that up a little bit here. Here. And then there's the butt. He squares it off and brings it down. Very interesting, if you ask me. This is back too far. More there. Let's just kind of adjust that. And this is kind of where the greater trochanter, I think, is. And that comes down. Now, let's fix this up a little bit. This is a little too long. This is way shorter on his. So, on the Bridgman drawing, this is more there. And then this whole piece here is up higher. So let's just redraw it. And if we look at where the butt, it bisects right about there. Squared off Bridgman butt. Brings it in. Comes down. Shows the kind of where the hip is. Slash the iliac crest of the hip bone. Greater trochanter comes down. That's not too bad. That's pretty close to what he's got. If we wanted to add more anatomy to this tricep, we have the horseshoe look right there coming through. Come in like that. All right. And then the head. The indication of the head would be that. And whoops. His isn't a circle. It's like a strange kind of square shape here. Something like that. That's pretty close. Might be a little bit too much room here on mine. I would say Bridgman's proportions are more there. Maybe. No. Pretty extreme pose. It's more like that. And I think actually to get the proportions more accurate, this part needs to be a bit bigger. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe like that. It's an interesting little sketch that he did. And then above it, he's got a drawing of the greater trochanter. I mean, not the greater trochanter. He's got a drawing of the hips. And then he's got a side view with the anatomy further broken down. But I'm not going to do those today. Let's do, because it's not going to help with the rotational drill. So let's do, we'll do another front view. And this is an interesting one here. So this is page 171. And I'll go back and do the backs later. So this one, we've got, let me just move this drawing over a little bit. Get a layout color. So this one we've got we've got our circle here. It's kind of the midline of the body's right there. He does the hips coming out like that. Arms are coming out here. And then the head's coming up here like this. And so that's pretty much the drawing as far as the simplified shapes go. Now let's go in and just block it in. So the pecs, he has them here. They curve in, and then this is really interesting. He wedges it down, turns it this way, brings it up and plugs it out into this armpit. Now he's got this shape that he's kind of mapped out for the shadow of the pit, of the armpit, kind of like that. And then this big circle, it's coming, it's actually, I need to move it because it's way out here. Coming down and plugs in up there. This is the back muscles, the lats, I believe. Not really sure. That, and then he's got the collarbone indicated here, brings it up, and then here's a squared off deltoid. That's one of the things I'm really picking up from doing Bridgman is just squared off deltoid there. Now this angle is wrong on mine. His is angled more down like that. So let's fix that. Kind of shows this there. And then this is coming down. It's down, down. So I'm just kind of gonna move this so it's a little more like his drawing. And let's see if I go there. It's about right here. It indicates the nipple right there. Brings that up. That's something he does a lot. He kind of bifurcates the chest there, and he angles that there. That's pretty cool. Bridgman, that's pretty cool design there. Now we've got the rib cage here, the end of the sternum, and he arcs it. Pretty much it. This side, he does the same. Let's get the chest on this side, or let's get the neck. Here's the lats. So you get the other side chest, he's got this shape that kind of comes there. Drops this down, and this is what's interesting is he does have this kind of in perspective, not just straight on. There we go. Okay. You'd have the sternocleidomastoid muscles there. Have the collarbone. And again, he's got this cool squared off deltoid coming out. And that's too high. Keep it around the same height as this one. So I'll go here. Kind of right about there. Plugs down. He left all this undone. Maybe we'll fill that in. Indicates a nip there. And then I made this come out a little bit too much. So let's fix that. Look at Bridgman's. It's kind of here, here, here. Yikes. Building up too much line there. I don't know why this is giving me problems. It's coming down here. And it does go at this angle here and curves up. That's pretty much it. You know, if I was going to do there, this is what I'm drawing now is not in Bridgman's book, but we can add it in. Now, he's got the rib cage. Interesting. He's coming way out here with it. Really robust, and he drops it slightly lower than this one here. And there's the other side of that. He kind of has this abdominal look here. He's got the navel in here. And then we come down to the trunk and the hips. That's the ASIS, anterior superior iliac spine of the hip right here. A lot of muscles attached there. This comes here, and then he's got this indication for the hip over on this side, like that. And then he's got kind of where it comes down to the groin. Hip comes off, and then what's drawing this little head indication that he's got. Upshot. That's another thing that's interesting about this one is we've got a more perspective put into this drawing. Got this upshot of the head coming in. He's got the mouth kind of indicated right there. He's got a little shape in here for the nose. And that's pretty much it. We did the drawing there. I'd probably do something like that. If we wanted to add in more things, you know, we could. We know that there's a shape here, and we know about this kind of wedge system he made here, like this, and other drawings. We know we could make this kind of lat muscle coming in here, you know, and we could start adding in some of the other stuff. This one here would be like that. Tricep muscle here. Bicep muscle there. Hips there. And that's a cool Bridgman piece right there. So now we'll take this bridge, and so now he shows. I'll show. We'll do this too. He shows here next to this guy why he made this decision here, and what he's showing is this shape. So basically, this is the rib cage, and the lungs would be inside of it, and it's shaped like this. Okay. Then he shows the collarbone coming off here, and he shows the collarbone coming off here. And then he's got the sternum that comes all the way down. And then that's that shape here. And then he's showing that the spine's coming up like this. Acromion process. And then he's showing the humerus bone right underneath there. He does that. And this should be out a little bit more. And that's that form there that he's putting inside underneath that drawing. So that's some Bridgman right there. Now what we'll do is we'll go back to this, not this, to this, and see if we can put some of these ideas from Bridgman into here. So we've got the first one is a sort of a straight on top down look at the torso. And one of the things that Bridgman did is he kind of does that, brings it up and goes here. So that's kind of a cool little thing he did there. Let's knock this down a little bit so it doesn't interfere with the line art. Okay, and then he drops it, brings it up, comes up and goes out like there. And let's get this more here. And we are looking down though, so I got to remember that that's the perspective. So these angles won't look as extreme as the one that Bridgman did where we're looking up. But I do want to kind of take some of his organic shape making and bring it into this drawing here. And so this is where we're going to place the neck, is right here. Okay. And so it's just going to be a cylinder about there with a ball on top of it that we're going to turn into. We're going to cut the sides off, bring the front down, bring the chin in, indicate where the eyes go, indicate the nose, and indicate the mouth, ears, front plane of the forehead. He's not an alien, so this, let me fix this. This would get shaved off and this would get shaved off. Coming up, and we've got the top of the head here, about there. All right, and then have the sternocleidomastoid muscles coming in, like that. Got the trapezius muscles here, and we'll work off of Bridgman's idea of making these deltoids blocked in. That. Let's work on Bridgman's idea of this sternum, and then we know that this circle comes up here like this because the rib cage, the lungs actually come all the way up into the right underneath the trapezius muscles. So bring this down here, bring this down here, hook it through, indicate this guy's nipples. Probably brought that out too far. It looks a little bit weird. We got the muscles underneath here. And then for his hips, we want to go in perspective down to about there. Navel's there. Okay, the hip bone's there. And then the legs would start coming off of that. The head's a little bit small. I think overall we'd want to increase the size of his head, bring the jaw down a little bit lower. Proportions are a little off here too. Because we're looking down, this needs to cut off lower. See if I can fix his head better. Stretch it up a little bit there. That's not too bad. Now we're going to do this one. So I'll still try to use kind of some of Bridgman's thinking on this stuff. So this is where things get hard because we want to think in terms of how these forms would be coming out, because the chest is kind of coming, it's got some volume to it. Let's see, bring the rib cage in so we know that this form here, it's going to have some volume to it. The egg, it's going to be here. This is going to be there. And this is gonna be more of a dimensional shape, something like this. Have the lats coming in here somewhere, and we have the oblique muscles somewhere around there. Looks a little weird. Let's fix this. We'll bring it out like that more. Kind of like a wedge like that. Bring it out here a little bit more. Then bring it under. Now we're going to get this and turn it down. Now let's fix this part. What we actually have is one that goes like that. Something there. We did that side butt study, kinda. Be more like that. So arms rotated that way. deltoid has to plug in back there. There we go. Now it's starting to look like what it's supposed to. This rib cage here. Now let me fix this. Based on the other Bridgman drawing we did, you know, it's going to come here first, and then we get the glutes. And we get the hips down there more. So this is all being invented right now. I don't have a reference of a human figure like this, so I'm making it up. And the way I'm able to do this out of my recall is from the stuff we just learned about Bridgman, like what he's showing us, trying to recall that, take that information and use it to make this figure. All right, let me see here. I'm going to stop now. I would like to finish all these figures, but I can't because I've been on here for 40 minutes and I haven't drawn my comic book yet. I've just been doing these studies, and I think I'm going to need to shorten my drawing studies a little bit. I want to keep doing them so that I keep improving, but it's very easy also to get so into your drawing studies that becomes a day's work, and then in that case you don't actually build out the actual things that you need to make your comic book. So that's it for today for the drawing studies. Okay, let's move on to the comic book drawing. It's 6:30 a.m. on Wednesday, May 6th, I believe. May 6th, 2026. All right, so we'll do this one here. We have Rocking an Evil Robot. Let's turn that off so it doesn't interfere. Go down here, we'll turn off this. Turn off that. No, keep that on, turn that off. And we'll make a new layer. I'm going to name this layer Rocking an Evil Robot. Also, this is line art, so in line art. I'm going to switch pens to what's going on? Turn these guys off so they're not interfering. Good, let's get this to a black. All right, so here we go. We do get to do some figurative stuff here. So let's try to use the Bridgman stuff again on this figure. And I do think I am doing too much warming up lately, getting a little too carried away, because it is cutting into the amount of drawing that I'm able to get done for the comic book. It's one of those dances where if you don't warm up and you don't train your drawing skills, you don't really get better. So you need to do it. And I feel like, anatomy is getting stronger. My ability to draw things in perspective from my imagination is improving. All those types of things. But you don't want your warm-ups, you don't want your training to become your art. I've seen a lot of artists that's what they end up doing, and they get so good at the exercises, they become extremely beautiful drawings, and then the exercises becomes their art. And I'm not saying that the exercises aren't an art form. They are, and you can make it your art, but it's the type of art you have to ask though, is that the body of work you want to leave behind, like a bunch of beautiful drawing exercises, or do you want to leave behind a legacy of narrative illustration and storytelling and comics and you know ideas and things like that? I want to go with number two. I want to leave behind um, ideas and stories and narrative art and illustration work and things of that nature. So I don't want my work to just be a bunch of beautiful, as I would improve. I'm not saying they're beautiful right now, they are not, but would be, a bunch of beautiful pieces of, drawing exercises and training exercises. And it's useful for artists to have that. Like, look at Bridgman stuff. I have no idea about uh, anything Bridgman did like that wasn't his educational books. I don't know if he had much stuff that beyond that, or if he was just doing education. I should look that up and look into it. But that's what he's known for, is the educational work that he did. And so I don't want that to end up being me. Like, oh, look, you know, in my opinion, Bridgman is pretty good. At this point, I don't have a lot to do that's going to be better than what Bridgman did. But I'm studying him. I can tell that this figure is, which I'm inventing as I do it, is going very nicely because so far, knock on wood, because I did the Bridgman studies before I drew it. There's no doubt about that. Now, Rocking and Evil Robot are the two. Well, I'll wait till I'm a little further along on the drawing before I discuss who Rocking and Evil Robot are, what they do and stuff. This navel is not what I want. It's kind of better if you kind of do an ellipse navel like that. Swirly thing. Sometimes Bridgman kind of does this kind of wrinkle there, and it's kind of cool. I'm gonna just leave it like that. I'm not gonna chisel out every what do you call it? Every all those muscles, the abdomen. Okay, let's get this face in. Since I have a nose kind of indicated here, we'll try to get this nose going. It's not very good. What are we gonna do about this nose, huh? Let's see. Maybe if I get these eyes in place first. I might have to construct this head out a little better, but should be alright. Make this a little bigger here. There we go. Alright, we're in business now. We're in business. That's pretty good. Get these teeth in here. The teeth on Rocking are an abstraction of reality. You don't really know where the top or the bottom of them is. You don't really know like what do they plug into? How do they work? Do you ever see this character with his mouth open? I've never drawn him with his mouth open. One of the guys that's helping me color my book, Alex, is helping me color this comic. He did an illustration with him rocking with his mouth open once, and it actually worked. I mean, it looked pretty decent. I was like, wow, you drew him with his mouth open. I never would draw Rock. Now the question is, do I ever show Rocking in official comic book canon, Strength Monsters canon lore? Do I ever show him with his mouth open, or do I just leave it perpetually closed? And he speaks his, like when he speaks, his mouth doesn't open. When he eats, you don't see his mouth open. Nobody sees this guy's mouth open. That's the question, though. Do I show an official Strength Monsters lore? Now, the head is too big for the body, but that's okay. We can just drop it down a little bit in a minute. Just want to get the neck there. Okay, now let's... And that's because what I needed to do is lay in the head a little bit. We'll give him a smaller head because we want him to have hero proportions, which means the head has to be a little bit smaller than it would be. Let's see if that's about right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's actually, his head would actually need to be even smaller about there for hero proportions, because you want your character to be about 9 heads high, 8 to 9 heads high, if you want him to look really tall. The only problem with that is a lot of these, you end up with these comic book characters with these pinheads. Get the Sternocleidomastoid coming through here. We'll get the Adam's apple in like there. That's basically it. We've got a tendon that kind of comes off like that. We have the scalene muscles that are back there. You wouldn't really see them, so I'm just going to leave them out. And kind of bring that trap up a little bit like that. So let's see. It's not bad. I'll take it. I'll clean up these lines here a little bit more. Now, let's see. We'll do Baby Monkey, I guess, next, because this is all really complicated. We've got two figures kind of interacting with each other. Let's see what's going on here. 6:44 a.m. Thursday. No, it's Wednesday, January 6th. 2026, you have tuned into the Sam Crescent live art streams every single day on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, Trovo, although Trovo is going out of business next month. So not for very long on Trovo. It's just like a mostly gaming platform. It'll still exist, but they're taking out the live stuff. Facebook Live, which is brand new. Welcome Facebook, everybody. What else? Those are all the platforms. The next platform that I'm going to bring this to, and I'm going to have to reanimate it. I'm going to have to bring it back from the dead. I'm going to have to go full Victor von Frankenstein and take this thing into existence again, and that is TikTok. I actually have a TikTok. I created a TikTok account back in like 2016, right after it switched from being Musical.ly. And I know that because my kids were on Musical.ly, and it was like a bunch of little kids that would do like goofy dances and stuff. That's what it was. And it became TikTok, and it was still kind of a goofy thing. And then it became well, whatever. It became a mainstream platform. I went viral on there back in the day a couple of times where I had like videos that did 100,000 views and stuff. And why did I stop doing TikTok was because I think I stopped TikTok, a lot of it because the doom scrolling became real problem on that platform. And I just felt like I was wasting my time on there. So I got rid of it. I mean, I still have the account, but I stopped doing it. I had, at one point, I think I had 3,000 followers on there or something. I don't think I have that anymore. It's literally been inactive since for years. That's not the way his eyes go. Let's fix that. So this little monkey here, you'll learn about him if you ever check out the finished books when they're done. He is one of the key Strength Monsters characters. Let's move this up a little bit here. Something weird about this guy. There we go. He's got this hose plugged into his head. All right. I do need to move this mouth up. That's why it looks kind of weird. And then he's got his chin. Get his ears in here. There we go. Wrong shape. There we go. What else? Gotta do this arm somewhere. We've got to put in Rocking's Tesla coils, without which he will not be able to survive. Already making the perspective wrong. Let's get this right. I feel like you kind of would see a little bit there. Yeah, I've actually, since I've switched to streaming and working on the desktop on Clip Studio Paint, I actually like Clip Studio Paint now more than Procreate. I feel like the brushes are a little more accurate. It doesn't like ghost switch stuff up on me. Procreate will ghost change things. Like, it'll misread the heat and pressure on the iPad all the time, and it'll switch colors on you or change to your eraser. You think you're drawing a line and you end up erasing. And I mean, I really did like Procreate for a long time. It was my favorite. Man, I don't know, man. It's just giving me problems. Because it looks like it should be below the horizon line. So let's just fix it and we'll make it do something like that. There, we'll bring these out here and we'll put this ball here. There we go. Got it done. Okay. And then on this side, gonna get this in here. And then this one is going to be up. There we go. Now we're in business. Bring it on in to his trap. And yeah, we'll do this. We'll foreshorten this arm. So we'll put his little baby monkey hand right here, curling down over Rocking's bicep. Like that. Just make it a little shape there. And then he's got the canister on his forearm here. About that big. And this canister is super whack. Let's fix it. Be more like that. And we'd have this hose coming around to his back here, because this is where his IV is that pumps the anti-zombie serum through his veins. Otherwise, this little monkey would be a flesh-eating little monster that you would not want to run into. Taking a page from Bridgman's book. Of the olecranon of the forearm there. Forearm muscles coming through. Now I need to do this hand of Rocking. And he's holding up the number 1 sign. And so his hand would be something like this. So we'd have this index finger here. I'm number 1. We'd have the knuckles here of the other hands. Have his thumb there. So it'd be like about that. Let's kind of clean this up a little bit. Not bad. All right, let's put in his bolts. So this character, his name is Rocking, because his electricity bolts are always rocking back and forth to keep him alive. So it's an arcing, rocking action for Rocking, a reanimated pro wrestler that was created in a laboratory to be the greatest wrestler to ever live, to help a mad scientist literally take over the world. And unfortunately, he ended up having more of a soul. He was supposed to be a soulless beast, infused with the knowledge and intentions of a legion of demons that were spawned from hell and attempted to summon and infuse into his brain to make him vicious and unstoppable. And that plan was foiled. It didn't work. And he has the soul and heart of a good guy. He turned on his master and went his own way. Now, all that lore, that story hasn't been told yet. It's called Iron Lodge, was the name of the place that he was created, which is a country club for bad guys that sits on the ridge of a volcano. And why is it there? Because they're able to access hell through the cavities of the volcano, the tubes. You're able to go down into the earth. This is a made-up version of the world now. And that's why the Iron Lodge, where all the villains hang out, their country club for villains, are. Now, Rocking was made there on the volcanic mountain in Iron Lodge by evil scientists. And the science experiment went awry. And Rocking ended up having a soul, having a heart, becoming a person that feels, that thinks for themselves. But he is still a monster. So he has incredible strength. He has a high level of wrestling skill because he does have the knowledge of wrestling from the modern day, going back even to the ancient times. This character knows all of that stuff. He knows the old-timer techniques. He knows the way things were done before the modern rule set. Modern rule set that changed the sport of wrestling, that emphasizes speed, power, and explosivity due to a very short time limit. And because of that, the alarm, it is now 7 a.m. A few minutes, I've got to start waking kids up here, but not yet. Weird about this. There we go, that's better. All right, there we go. There we go. Now we've got it. When in doubt, construct it out. And that's what I did. I just constructed this kneecap here. Now we've got a little bit better form there. Let's fix this. And let's indicate the bone. The medial malleolus right there and there. Okay, let's put in the shimmer pattern thingy on his underwear, on his wrestling trunks. His diaper that locks it on. I don't know why I got so many characters that wear different types of diapers, but I do. Now, what I was saying about, what was I talking about before that? I was talking about Rocking. And I don't have the chat configured still on OBS. I plan on doing it. I started doing it and it was like a lot of work. I'm looking things up and trying to figure it out. But eventually I will get the chat configured. Look at that. Just dropped in that foot like a boss. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Let's see here. Will I have the same luck on this one? I don't know. You know? I'm hoping. Booyah, I'll take it. That's 2 feet in a row. 2 for 2. Eat that up, Rob Liefeld. Just kidding. I'm not dunking on good old Rob Liefeld. I haven't listened to his podcast in a while, though. I need to catch up with it. I actually very much enjoy his show. All right, let's see here. We'll do Evil Robot, and then I'll do the silhouette value of the 2 characters, finish it up, wrap it up, go wake up the kids and the stream, and be on with the day. Everything done before 8 a.m., which is fine. That's the way you got to do it sometimes. Now, this robot here, he's a mining droid, came from outer space. Let me get this drawn a little bit further before I start telling his story, so that I have something to clip. That's where the drawing exercises come in, guys. When I draw all those straight lines and then circles in the lines, there's a reason for that stuff. Gotta train your dexterity. Constantly working the skill set as much as possible. The segments in Evil Robots thing. Now, these robots are... So they call him Evil Robot because I can't tell you yet. I've got to draw... Got to get this guy drawn in more first, or there's nothing cool going on while I tell the story of Evil Robot. And I tell these stories over and over again because I've got to continue to do everything I can to promote this comic. And so far it's working pretty good. These live streams are meant to be the content kind of engine that you can see that I'm here every day, real person, making something real, drawing real things. You know, I was served this ad on Instagram the other day where they're telling you, like, we'll blow up your Instagram. What we'll do is we'll create 6,000 pieces of content, and they're going to create those 6,000 pieces of content off of 2 to 4 hours of talking head videos. So they're going to have you sit down and do a bunch of talking heads for 4 hours, and they're going to be slicing that up every which way possible to get 6,000 pieces of content. And this strategy would actually work, believe it or not, to a degree. Then what you're going to do is, because I just like listen to their pitch, and I'm like, what exactly are they going to do here? I'm not doing this, guys. I'm just telling you what they were trying to sell. They open up hundreds of fan accounts. And then the fan accounts are dedicated to your main account. So your main account in 1 month's time is going to blast out 6,000 pieces of talking head content, which is kind of like, you know, talking head, schmocking head. Like, that's all the internet is now, is talking heads. I'm a talking head, but I'm actually creating something. You can see we're making something in real time here. We're making a comic book. We're making a universe. We're making an animated series. We're creating mythology and lore that is going to impact culture going into the future. So these firms can take their talking heads and shove them straight up their ass, as far as I'm concerned. Now, Evil Robot here is a mining droid. He's made out of space junk. There's legions of him. They're really cheap and inexpensive to manufacture. Created by a large corporation, intergalactic corporation, that sends these droids out to mine resources from other planets. They scout the universe looking for things to extract and take back to their company that they work for. That's why they're called evil. Because if you live on one of those planets, these MFers are coming and they're going to take all your stuff, whether you like it or not. They're pulling it out of your planet and they're bringing it back to their overlords. So, and there's like, you'll look up into the sky, into space, and we're talking ocean. There's an ocean of evil robots just flying, making their way to the asteroid, the meteor, the planet, the inhabited system, whatever it is. And then they turn into drills, they turn into tools, they start just abstracting everything out and take it. And so they're like, they're evil, they're going to take us out. That's why he's called Evil Robot. Now what happens is he gets lost from his unit, from his group, when they're on Earth, when these things come to Earth in order to take all the resources from us. Rocking helps fight them off. All this lore has never been told. And I haven't drawn it or done it. Like I've done all the other story arcs, but I never did the origin story arcs. There's a reason, because I'm sick of every flipping comic book is just an origin story, origin story, origin story, origin story. I'm so tired of origin stories, man. I was a professional martial artist for years, okay? Martial arts is all flipping origin story. Let's hear your origin story. About what? About how you started training martial arts, about how you did this and learned jiu-jitsu. Guys, let's look to the future now. Let's look to what we're going to do next. I'm sick of all these origin stories everywhere. Just people telling the origin story of this and that and the lineage and lineage and lineage and lineage. Well, there's a reason why there's so much lineage talk in martial arts, because all you're doing is just passing down knowledge and information that's already known. Nothing new. You didn't create anything. It's all old information. It's been around for thousands of years. Sometimes you rediscover it. Sometimes things are innovated when you have a rule set. Modern day jiu-jitsu, for example, a lot of innovation happening there. Most of it combat ineffective and useless. All the stuff that actually works has already been done. Everything else, like the stuff that works in a gi jiu-jitsu match, the new stuff they're making up, it's not going to work anywhere else. It's just the evolution of that rule set. But I digress. So that's why I've been holding off on telling the origin story of my comic book for this very reason. Eventually I will. I mean, I talk about it. I'll talk about the origin story. And then when I actually do make it, when I actually do illustrate it, you can have an idea about how absolutely epic it's going to be. And, I've got to draw people into this world somehow. Nobody asked me to make this. It's just ideas I've had in my head that I've wanted to create, so I'm doing it. And that's pretty much the whole deal with this. So, getting back to the story I was telling, let's do the outline values. These are wonderful little drawings here. I don't know what happened. I had no problem drawing today. The warm-ups actually worked. They did their job. I don't know. Sometimes you'll blow your own mind. Sometimes. And when it happens, and it will happen to every artist, enjoy that. Enjoy it. Now, getting back to everything, let's see what's going on in the chat, if anything. Probably everyone's asleep. Twitch, nothing. Kick. We've got the same old spam. I don't know what's going on YouTube. Hopefully that's still going. And Facebook is going. So, all right. Well, I checked in with everybody. Let's get back to work. So I do need to finish this up. It's 7:11. I'm going to have to go wake some kids up in 10 minutes. But let me finish this first. finish this off. So now the process, I just go through the same process for how I'm drawing this comic, and we're pushing a lot of the art with the color. So kind of prefer to just leave these drawings open, not like go all heavy render and heavy shadows. Now I know I did a lot on that gorilla yesterday, and I think I'll balance it all out rather than going back through all these characters and dropping in heavy shadows so they all match the same logic. I'm going to balance it all out when I do the color. I'll balance it out when I do the color, because I can turn those shadows into color holds. I can turn that rendering into color holds, and I can bring everything into cohesion later on in the process. So that's what I'm going to do. Let's fix that. I thinned down my silhouette pen a little bit as I got down to these feet, just so I could keep the shape accuracy that I initially put in there. Want to keep those shapes what they were, because I was pretty happy and satisfied with it. Close off all that. We've got to close off all the pathways out of here. So what I have coming up is I've got Rose Bowl coming up this weekend. That is in Pasadena at the world famous Rose Bowl Stadium. I'm in booth 827, and I'm there almost every month. It's one of my more permanent brick and mortar locations. Very much like that market, and so I will be there this month. Feel free to come by, say hi, hang out, whatever you want. I'll have lots of artwork. I'll have all kinds of different prints, stickers, t-shirts, few patches. Started making some magnets, and I hope to start making some special kind of custom stuff that I'm kind of keeping on the down low right now, but I just ordered the specific items that I'm going to customize, and I hope I can do it by Designer Con. Just depends on if my spray gun gets here and all the other things I need in time for that. Find out. Now, unfortunately, I've been working so much on my comic book, on some freelance work and all this stuff, that I do need to do more to build out, restock, and improve my booth that I take around to shows and such to sell my art. And I've kind of been neglecting that because I've been trying desperately to finish all these other projects. But probably the rest of this day and the next couple of days, I'm going to have to put some serious time in on my booth. And actually, I'm going to do that today. I'm going to work on some glow-in-the-dark prints that I'm expanding and such and more, and so on and so forth. So, you know, you're just moving multiple systems forward at a time, and that's pretty much it. It's What is this? Oh, that's his electricity bolt. I'm like, what is going on here? I don't know. Well, pretty much there. There's still some line weights I need to do. Let's get this guy's silhouette value in, and then I'll go in with some like a little bit of line weights, a little bit of shadows, and I'll be able to call this a day. 7:17. I need to wake everybody up by 7:30, so I'm not going to end the stream if I have to wake everybody up. I will just get up, go make my rounds, and then come back and finish up. But oh, I was talking about these content mills, and the strategy of making 6,000 pieces of content off of 4 hours of talking heads. And apparently the strategy, from what I've researched, it does work. It's what kind of a lot of these guys did, but they also utilized fan accounts. Now, fan account is, let's say you're, I don't know if I should use some controversial examples of people I don't necessarily like, but they did implement the strategy. Let's just say if you're like a content creator and you're trying to make like one of those like Be a Real Man accounts, you would have like a fan account called like Alpha Male Now and like Savage Beast and like Words of Real Men, you know, like let's say your account is like Real Man, Savage Real Man or something like that. I'm just throwing this out because there's a lot of stuff like that. A few years ago, it was like really big on the internet. It's kind of died out now. That genre is pretty funny. And then and then those fan accounts just repost and reshare all your content all over again. Or they just take your content and it's just clipped up slightly different and then it blasts it out. And it gets to the point where like you literally need like a click farm or like a whole team running all of those different accounts to like make the system work, because it's just so high volume. I mean, just imagine how much time it would take to schedule out 6,000 videos. Now, so a lot of it, they'll have multiple people doing it. Now, you could have AI do some of that, but honestly, it's going to make it even worse. So I'll give you an example. If you wanted AI to clip your videos for you, understand that the AI cannot watch the videos. It doesn't know what's going on in the screen or anything. All it knows is the transcript. So all it's going to do is read the transcript of the video, and then based on whatever it can gather from that, because it's not actually intelligent. I hate to break the news to you guys, but it's not. And whatever it gathers from that, it's just going to just start clipping. And so you can tell these channels that are using AI to clip their stuff, because it'll just be like totally nonsensical. It'll be like some title that actually has really nothing to do with what's going on, because the chat bot, and that's what it actually is, doesn't actually know what's going on in the video, can't watch it, and it just clips it based on whatever it can ascertain from the I forgot what I was talking about. From the whatever it can ascertain from the transcript. And so you have some video that'll have some like totally kind of super, oh, I gotta do that guy still. We'll have a video that'll have some totally random title with content that's like has nothing to do with it, that starts and ends in places that seems almost like, that seems basically nonsensical. Like, what's going on? Hey, what happened here? Oh, I'm on the wrong pen. Felt pen. There we go. We need a felt pen, man. What the heck, dude? All right. So you'll and yeah. So these and that's pretty much how they do it too. Like that 6,000, you know, and then you've got this Alex Hormozy guy who's saying, yeah, you just post 100 times a day, and I mean, there's data that shows that yes, if you post 100 times a day, you get more views. And then there's this whole concept of omnipresence. You're gonna make you omnipresent. It's the whole culture that's just been brought into our society is just pretty bad. And I'm aware of it all because these ads get served to me, and then I'm like, well, I'm gonna find out what's actually going on here in this situation. Now the big one is this Johnny Depp art fund that, man, I've gotten a million different artists sending me their thing asking me to vote for them. Like every artist, it's really bizarre because there's artists who like never try to sell anything online, and now they're, oh, buy me a vote. It's almost like, bro, just instead of getting the people that want to support you, instead of having them give somebody else some money for a vote for a contest that you're probably not going to win, just make something and sell it, man. Like, baffles me sometimes what artists will do. Now, I looked into that competition because I was getting so, I'm not going to do it, guys. But I was seeing so many people putting it out, like asking for the votes on that. And basically what it looks like it is it is a legit competition. There will be somebody that will get $25,000. And I'm sure Johnny Depp is somehow involved. The company that's doing it is a nonprofit. And it's basically what it is it's a fundraiser for the nonprofit. And so if they can get all these people that are trying to win this contest to buy these votes, the idea is that they're going to sell more votes than they will more than $25,000 worth is what they're hoping. And maybe somebody even probably donated the 25K. You know, maybe that's where Johnny Depp comes in. I don't know. I didn't look into it that far. But it's, you know, this is the thing about a nonprofit, because I looked into nonprofits to making one years ago. Because I had this idea that I was going to make this library called the Sam Crescent Creative Library. And I decided not to set it up as a nonprofit. When I set it up, it's going to be set up as a trust. And there's a reason why. Essentially, when you set it up as a nonprofit, you enter into this world wherein you constantly have to fundraise in order to keep your thing going. And so you literally, like, to have a successful nonprofit, you literally need someone that their job is they're working full time to fundraise money for the nonprofit. And there's lots of money you can get access to as a nonprofit. You can get access to different types of grants, and you get access to donations, and you can offer all kinds of things, tax write-offs for donations and such. And so that's requires networking. It requires marketing. It's literally marketing a different way to get the thing going. The other reason why I decided not to do a nonprofit and to do it as a trust is, if I set it up as a trust, I can just set the terms and the rules of the trust, and then they'll have to be executed according to that way, where it's very easy for a nonprofit to start losing its objective, because you'll have, it'll start paying salaries to the people working there, and they're supposed to only charge a fair market price for the work they're doing, but those fair market prices will bloat up pretty fast. And the next thing you know, like, your nonprofit's not really doing it what its mission is anymore. It's just paying everybody that works there, that manages it. And I'm not really, I'm not opposed to that. Like, it's great that people can get work that way and have jobs and be able to provide for themselves. But I was gonna set up my Sam Crescent Art Library to preserve history, legacy, passed down information. I have this very specific vision that is, I could explain about it, but it would take longer than the scope of what I have left here to go into it. I'm very far off from making it still. It will be, I think, 10 more years, maybe less. I think it needs to be less than 10, because I'm unfortunately getting old and I have to make things happen sooner, which is why I'm working on this stuff every day now. I mean, I've been working on it every day actually for years, but I wasn't broadcasting. Now we're broadcasting every day. Oh yeah, all right. That's going to do it for today's stream. I'm going to head out. I've got kids to wake up. I've got a day to start. Thank you for joining me here. I will be back tomorrow with another live stream. We are going to continue to make progress on this page. You can see in the small screen all the stuff we've drawn. We're filling out the final panel here on this bad boy. And there's going to be a whole smorgasbord of characters that are going to go in here that we need to draw. And it's going to be awesome. This is an action-packed comic book. Keep stopping in, keep checking by, look for clips, follow me on the YouTube and whatever else. Blah, 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 blah. I'll see you later.